A little while back, well, more than a little while, I reviewed the Disney-produced movie Frankenweenie. Now, it's not properly a movie, it's a short film directed by Tim Burton, black and white, kind of a Frankenstein parody, Frankenweenie. Now, for the longest time, I was on the hunt for the 2012 stop-motion animated version of Frankenweenie, and I kept coming across this movie instead, Paranorman. I used to confuse Paranorman and Frankenweenie all the time because they basically came out exactly the same year, I think. But in any case, I was so happy when I finally found Frankenweenie in the thrift store. So I watched that and I reviewed it. And then I was like, Paranorman's actually a pretty good movie. Maybe I should go back and get that. And so then I go back to the thrift store religiously, pretty much every week. And I had to look for so long to finally find a copy of Paranorman. But meanwhile, I kept running into copies of Frankenweenie. It's like, I already saw that one. Come on, man. I think I was in a different city when I actually bought this, but I found it at a thrift store. This is 2012's Paranorman. And I'm going to tell you what I think about it. Paranorman. This is from 2012, same year as Frankenweenie, right? And I think it's a little bit better than that. It is also a stop-motion animated movie. I think the stop-motion is as good or maybe better than Frankenweenie. And I think this movie overall is a little bit better. Paranorman is about Norman. Norman's not exactly your average everyday kid. He sees dead people. Yeah, like that Sixth Sense kid. But he doesn't see them in a violent, scary kind of way. He's just like, hey man, how's it going? He says hi to dead Civil War soldiers on the street, riding a horse down the street. And apparently he can only talk to the dead that, come back as ghosts, right? The ones that have, unfinished business on Earth. First of all, we see him talking to his dead grandma at the very first part of the movie. And the rest of the family doesn't see her. Because only Norman can see her. And so they all think he's crazy, and Norman's just such a pain in the ass. He gets bullied at school constantly, especially by this one kid, Alvin, played by Christopher Mintz-Plasse, McLovin. Anyway, he's one of the standout characters in the movie because he's actually involved in the plot of this. Alvin the bully, that is. Norman has an older sister named Courtney, played by Anna Kendrick. You also get John Goodman in here as the kind of freaky, long-lost uncle, and he passes down this curse to Norman, or Norman's affected by this curse. Leslie Mann plays Norman's mom, and she loves Norman, of course, even though he's different. She just wishes that he and his father could get along, and his father's just this asshole for most of the movie. And then at the end of the movie, he has a turnaround, and he's like, yeah, maybe I should stop being such an asshole. You think? Also, Casey Affleck is in there. He plays the big older brother of Norman's one and only friend, Neil, who's the only kid that sticks around, and, he's the fat kid. He gets bullied just as much as Norman, and he sticks with him for the whole movie. He's the Samwise of this movie. And while I'm not comparing Paranorman to the Lord of the Rings, this is a really well-crafted story, and it's I guess it's kind of a ghost story, kind of like the urban legend of this legendary witch that was some 11-year-old girl that was persecuted as a witch and I guess burned alive or killed, buried in this unmarked grave in the secret location. And her curse that she cursed her accusers and her persecutors to become zombies and to roam the earth every Halloween, I guess, or whenever this is supposed to take place. But this town embraces this curse, and they're all cynical, I don't know, early 2000s kind of jerky people, and the whole town is I don't know, they're a bunch of jerks, really. I mean, look at the way they treat Norman, and look at the way that they take this curse that's on the town and they embrace it, and they have like a festival and like a children's stage play every year. It's messed up. It really is. And Norman kind of has to like unravel the mystery of what happened to this witch, and because only he can speak to dead people, he's able to communicate with the zombies that come back, the persecutors of the witch. He's able to speak to them, and they have to actually save them from being obliterated by the angry mob. Hey, but they're just looking for atonement. They're just looking for forgiveness. And Norman is able to, by the end of the movie, he's able to speak to the ghost of the witch and get her to forgive. Norman lifts the curse, saves the town. I don't think anybody actually dies in this movie. I mean, it is a kid's movie, and it's about ghosts, but it can be really creepy at sometimes too, like, and really emotional. Like when Norman goes to talk to the ghost of the 11-year-old witch, it's really good acting on the part of all those child actors and all those voice actors and everything, and it really gets really dramatic for a while. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually had a tear in my eye when I was watching Paranorman, because I felt so much emotion for these characters, like for Norman first of all, and for this ghost witch thing, and how just unfair and how horrible, things must have been for all these characters, right? It's a very sympathetic movie, I guess you could say. Okay, so I can't not compare this to Frankenweenie, because it came out around the same time, but I do think it's a better movie. The animation, while not necessarily better, at least is in color, so you get a little bit more vibrant colors, and I don't know, the different colored lighting and stuff like that really does make a difference in here, believe it or not. It would have been fine in black and white, but I think it, was just a tiny bit better because it's in color. I also like the characters a little bit more in this. They're a little more contemporary. Not everybody in this movie is a fucking weirdo. They're mostly like normal people that just get pushed to their limits, sort of thing. There's some exaggerated character traits in here, like, the bully is such a bully and he's such an arrogant asshole, and at the same time we get to see his weaker side of how he's really a coward and he's an idiot and doesn't know what the hell's going on. Same with the sister. The sister seems like just an airhead, vapid, vain big sister, and she kind of also bullies Norman a little bit, but she gets kind of her retribution in the end, and she defends Norman and she stands up for him and she believes in him, which nobody else does, well, except for Neil. And Neil's just like a funny, he's a walking sidekick, one-liner kid, right? He's comic relief, but he's funny, and he's like, his personality is he's just loyal to the end, and he's just happy to have a friend, even somebody as weird as Norman, because maybe Norman's not any weirder than I am, just weird in a different way. So, I connected with that too, the bond and the friendship, and I think this is a great movie for kids. Good, scary Halloween kids movie, because there are some scares. I mean, not stuff that's going to keep anybody awake at night, but there's some spooky stuff going on in there. It's a very Halloween-y themed kind of movie, although I'm not sure it actually takes place at Halloween. But you know what I mean, right? Ghouls and ghosts, speaking to the dead, zombies and witches and all that kind of stuff, and a town curse, and that's Halloween to me, right? Anyway, I think they really pulled it off with Paranorman. I think I'm going to have to go ahead and give Paranorman a B+. I liked it. It takes at least a B+ to get a tear out of these eyes, man. It was emotional. It was dynamic. It was funny. There's lots of funny lines, especially like the really dumb characters and some of the stupid things that they say. I had a good time with Paranorman. I think I'm giving it a B+. And I think we're done here. Paranorman B+. See you later. Y'all stay safe out there. Stay spooky. And have a good one, everybody.